Hi, we are here with Wendy. We are coming. We're coming in. Hi. So your project is whose whose name? Whose name is this? Could you tell us a little bit more about your project?
Sure. Oh, do you want me to hang on to this? Or yeah, okay. Hi, so today we've got a display called Whose Name Is This? Whose Names Are These? And we're featuring a variety of resources and strategies around plant identification and how you can use that in your classroom. So we're featuring things like there's an app called Seek, which is free, and it allows you to take a camera and identify a plant. So I'll do that with our the little tower garden here. So I can take a photo and I can get a little bit close here. And you can see at the top, it's identified that as garden parsley, which it in fact is. And then we've got one here. Are you going to recognize me? Lavender. So apps like Seek allow you to identify in English languages local plants, which can be really helpful if you're taking your class out for a nature walk or something. But you might consider augmenting the use of those kinds of apps with a local resource such as the Pacific Northwest Plant Knowledge Cards. Now these you can borrow from the library, and they are plant identification cards. And the nice thing about these resources, is that in addition to the English and Latin names, you'll get information about indigenous names for these plants, as well as some other uses. So this plant, for example, is called a thimbleberry in English, but we've also got a hocominum name for that, as well as a couple of other indigenous languages, which is really cool. We've got a description of what the thimbleberry is, how it grows, how you might harvest it, whether it's edible, whether it's medicine, whatever. So it allows you to have a more a local and indigenous connection to plants around you. And so, for example, we've also got a handbook that does something very similar. Thank you. So this is another resource that's available as an ebook through the library that identifies some hocominum names and other information about local plants. So again, just allowing you to make some of those more local connections and incorporate indigenous perspectives into your teaching. So we've got an activity set out here. You make with the cards, you could engage in a sorting activity with your class, with your students. And I've got an example here. So which of these plants are flowers? Which of them are medicine? Which are both? So just a fun and engaging way to engage with the outdoors with your students. Yeah, and so we've got a number of different resources available, and we've got some QR codes that link to blog posts that flesh out everything a little bit more. So yeah, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes, absolutely. So I envision this in a not even K to 12, but in a K to 12 kind of classroom. Do you see this being used in higher education?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, absolutely. And then you could also even use it just for interest. I mean, if you want getting to know the UBC campus, grab the cards, take it with you, see what you can learn about your local environment. But yeah, lots of applications, I would think.
Yeah. And for example, I don't, do you have mushrooms here? Because we don't go mushroom picking per se, but we as in my partner and I, we're very interested in like mushrooms. So we see the mushrooms when we go for a walk and we're like, is this edible? We haven't picked any as yet because I feel we would need to join a community to really understand. But is that involved in could I use a Seek app, for example, to take a photo of a mushroom? Do you think?
That's perhaps a really good question. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Do you know if the iSeek works with mushroom identification? The Seek app?
I believe it does have some mushrooms as part of the database. I wouldn't personally trust it for identifying mushrooms in order to eat them.
Right.
In fact, as a naturalist, I would probably advise that unless you're an absolute expert on mushrooms, you know, identifying for fun and trying to figure it out is one thing.
But actually eating is something
Yeah.
else.
So are you in the middle of an interview
Yeah,
here?
thank you.
You're
Thank you. I would say I'm not sure what we have in the education library for mushroom identification, but I would bet bottom Woodward Library probably has mushroom identification books that you could borrow.
Yeah, right. Okay, great. No, thank you so much. Question about the Seek app itself. Were you involved in the creating of this app, or this is just something that you've used because you've found it to be of help?
So Yvonne turned me on to the Seek app, which is helpful. Yvonne, do you want to talk about the Seek app? It has nothing to do with UBC or anything.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay.
a freely available app.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I guess using the CCAP today highlights some of the work that I do with faculty in our BEd program. So I'll work with faculty to look at integrating digital tools and digital technologies in teaching and learning environments. So I co-plan and I co-teach with faculty. So the CCAP, for example, I introduced to some of our science faculty as part of a session that we collaborate on place-based and outdoor learning in a science classroom. So we head outside with a variety of different apps and have the students explore their local environment. But then for us, we try to then take a more critical perspective. So what we're looking at is access, data privacy, you know, a lot of different things around mediation of the natural world with digital tools, over mediating, lots of critical digital literacy conversations. But with Seek in particular, we also talked about the power of naming. And so sometimes when we're trying to learn about the world around us, if we name things right away, especially with children, they stop wanting to learn about those things. So talking about that and how does that fit in with our teaching? And then also on the power of naming, I was really inspired by one of our faculty, Dustin Louis, when he talked about the power of names from an Indigenous perspective. And so we added this past year a provocation of whose names are these. And that's what Wendy and I picked up on today. So having the students think about that as they're learning names and then having them engage with resources that will support them starting to recognize local Indigenous knowledge and names. So, yes.
Okay, great. No, thank you. Oops. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing and being a part of our Tech Expo 2023.
You bet.
Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks for coming.